Putin is running out of time and he knows it. When Russian fighter jets violated Estonian airspace, it wasn't just another provocation. It was a dangerous gamble by a man clinging to relevance. Estonia may be small, but it is a NATO territory. And when you poke NATO, you're not just rattling one country, you're rattling the entire alliance. Putin's reckless move says more about his weakness than his strength. What just happened is simple. Russian fighter jets crossed into Estonian airspace. That's not an accident, that's a deliberate move. And it tells you exactly where Putin is right now, cornered, desperate, and trying to look powerful. Estonia is NATO territory, and that's one line you don't cross lightly. When those jets came in, NATO responded fast. No hesitation, no confusion, just immediate action. That should tell you how serious this is. Putin wanted the world to see him as bold. Instead, the world saw a weak man rolling the dice on a dangerous gamble. He isn't intimidating anyone anymore. Estonia stood tall, and NATO showed unity. That unity is what scares Putin the most because it exposes his bluff. If Russia was truly strong, it wouldn't need stunts like this. This wasn't about Estonia, it was about trying to keep the illusion of dominance alive. But illusions don't last. The more he pushes, the more people realize he's shrinking. Every provocation makes Russia look smaller, not larger. And that's the truth Putin can't escape. His own actions are proving what he never wanted the world to see. His power isn't growing, it's collapsing. Inside Russia, the real story is even clearer. Ordinary people are paying the price for Putin's choices. The economy is struggling, sanctions bite deeper every month, and the war in Ukraine drains resources at a rate Russia can't sustain. Families are burying their sons, young men are leaving to avoid the draft, and even the elites know their fortunes are shrinking. Putin promised stability, but delivered endless war and isolation. That's why he lashes out abroad, because at home, the cracks are impossible to hide. Crossing into Estonia's airspace wasn't about military advantage. It was about distraction. He wants Russians to think he's still feared, still commanding attention on the world stage. But you know the truth. If he were secure, he wouldn't need stunts like this. The people living under his rule, they see it too. Empty wallets, lost sons, shrinking opportunities. These can't be hidden behind propaganda or bravado. So what does he do? He risks escalation with NATO to keep the spotlight away from his own failures. That's not strength, that's panic. And it tells you everything about where Putin's grip on power really stands. Shaky, fragile, and slipping further with every reckless move he makes. Look at what this move actually achieved. Putin thought crossing Estonia's airspace would split NATO, that someone would hesitate, that the West would argue. He got the opposite. Estonia didn't stand alone, the entire alliance stood with it. NATO scrambled jets immediately, leaders spoke with one voice, and unity was on full display. That is Putin's nightmare. His greatest tool has always been division, making countries second-guess each other, creating hesitation. But now, every provocation unites his enemies instead of weakening them. And here's the trap he built for himself. If NATO shrugs him off, he looks irrelevant. If NATO responds forcefully, he looks concerned. Either way, his image shrinks. The man who once thrived on fear is now showing acts of weakness every time he acts. That's why this airspace violation matters so much. It's not about Estonia, it's about a leader running out of moves. The West didn't splinter, it got stronger. And Putin, instead of looking like the powerful figure he wants to be, looked like a man boxed in by his own mistakes. Every step he takes now highlights not strength, but decline. And the world is watching it happen in real time. You need to understand something else. Putin is watching the West carefully, and he is terrified of the way things are shifting. He thought political drama in Washington or debates in Europe would give him some kind of opening. He counted on chaos to weaken NATO's resolve. Instead, the opposite is happening. Have a look at this tweet. Russian military aircraft once again violated NATO airspace, this time over Estonia. Outrageous. Russia's destabilizing activity is expanding into new countries and directions. They use every tool, from interference in political processes, as in Romania and Moldova, to violations of airspace, as in Poland, Romania, and now Estonia. These are not accidents. This is a systematic Russian campaign directed against Europe, against NATO, and against the West. And it requires a systematic response. Strong action must be taken, both collectively and individually, by each nation. Even with Trump back in the headlines, Putin isn't finding the cracks he expected. For years, the Kremlin fed on division. Every disagreement between allies was fuel for his agenda. But this time, he miscalculated. Estonia wasn't abandoned. Leaders who often can't agree on budgets or trade deals came together instantly when NATO airspace was violated. That's not what Putin wanted, and he knows it. The very thing he hoped to exploit, political distraction, is now working against him. And here's why it matters. Putin thrives when others hesitate. He loses when they act decisively. This incident proved the West still has the willpower to respond with speed and clarity. That realization changes the entire game. He wanted to show Russia as untouchable, but what he revealed was an alliance that will not bend. And when you're trying to hold power at home by looking strong abroad, that kind of failure doesn't just sting, it's devastating. Here's where it all comes together. This is the beginning of the end for Putin, not because Estonia alone can topple him, but because moments like this show how fragile his position really is. He is running out of options. The military is drained, the economy is suffocating, and his circle of allies is shrinking. Even countries once willing to tolerate Moscow's aggression are now calculating the cost of standing too close. Meanwhile, NATO looks more unified than ever. Putin built his reputation on fear or making others doubt themselves. That reputation is crumbling in front of the entire world. You can see it in the way every reckless gamble backfires. You can see it in the way his enemies grow stronger while he grows weaker. And you can see it in how isolated he's becoming even inside Russia. Leaders don't survive when they lose credibility at home and abroad at the same time. That's the trap that he's in right now. The Estonia incident isn't just about jets or borders, it's about exposure. He's been stripped of that aura of strength that he's relied on for 2 decades. And once that aura is gone, so is the power. That's why his time is running out. What we've seen with Estonia isn't just another border violation, it is the clearest sign that Putin is out of moves. His attempts to intimidate now expose weakness, his distractions reveal panic, and his gambles only strengthen the alliance that he fears most. History shows us that leaders who depend on illusions eventually lose to reality. And the reality here is simple. Putin's power is shrinking. His enemies are closing in, and his own people are running out of patience. This isn't strength. It's the slow collapse of a man who knows his end is coming.